Hey guys, this is the vocab for the Great Depression, number 6 through 10. First word is Great Depression. So when we talk about that word in the United States, it was a time where our economy was really struggling from 1929 until 1941. So this is the lowest that the economy had ever gone. The U.S. banks had given out too much money in loans that people could not pay back. So especially because people were speculating and buying on margin to um, invest in the stock market, that is going to be what ends up causing trouble for the banks. So it collapses the banks, the stock market crashed. It was a terrible time of starvation, homelessness, struggle, and suicide, and people began to question the government's role. So up until this point, I think most people kind of saw this separation between the government and like the people it took care of. People just believed that the government was there to kind of make sure that people followed laws and did what they were supposed to, that the government was not there to take care of people. But the Great Depression kind of changed that and challenged that idea because people are like, hey, everyone's starving here. Our economy is collapsed. Shouldn't the government do something? And you're going to see the difference in beliefs kind of in the way that the two different presidents ruled during that time, which we'll talk about in a minute. So the business cycle is just the normal up and down of every economy. It's actually healthy for economy to go up and down slightly. Like it shouldn't be extreme. It becomes a depression when it goes longer and lower than it usually does. The Great Depression was an extreme version of the normal business cycle, much longer and more severe. It followed the extreme high of the 1920s. Herbert Hoover was president when the Great Depression first began. He did not think that the government should try to control the economy and he thought that the government was not responsible for helping individuals. He thought it would give the government too much power. He really believed that if you kind of leave it alone, the economy would fix itself. People blamed him, however, for not fixing the economy. And outside of like major cities, there would be these settlements of like crappy tents and stuff like that, and they were nicknamed Hoovervilles. He did do a few small things, like he did something called the RFC, which was he gave like loans to railroads, banks, and other businesses because he thought that if he gave the businesses money, that the businesses in turn would hire people and they would help fix that economy. But ultimately, people blamed him and began to lose faith in him and in the government. And it made him look really bad when there was a group of World War I vets that marched into Washington and they like actually camped out because they wanted Hoover to give them their money from World War I early, and Hoover refused. So the bonus army felt that the government should help them get through the Depression since they had fought in World War I for our government, and some of them were drafted actually. But Hoover treated them like they were a dangerous mob, and he attacked them. He sent in the National Guard and had them attacked with bayonets and tear gas. It was not a good look for him. It made him look like a major bad guy. And so it's not a surprise that a Democrat won the next election because Hoover was a Republican and he had not fixed the Great Depression. So FDR, or Franklin Delano Roosevelt, was elected by a lot. He believed in direct government intervention to fix the economy and take care of people. He passed something called the New Deal, which we'll be talking a lot about. He started his presidency by calling in a group of experts that were nicknamed the Brain Trust to help him come up with policies and programs that would help fix the economy. So he really wanted to make sure we were thinking outside the box. He got on the radio nightly doing something called fireside chats where he tried to encourage people. And I don't know if you guys picked this up when we talked about like what causes depressions, but sometimes our economy really just runs based on what people think about it. If people think that the economy is healthy, they're going to, and they trust in it, then they're going to spend more money because they'd feel like, hey, I don't need to save money because I can trust that money will keep coming in. So then they spend money. And when they spend money, it stimulates the economy and actually makes the economy good. So it's really interesting that FDR would use that strategy, the fireside chats. I think he was legitimately just like a good guy, and he wanted to encourage people, but he also knew that people need to believe that the economy is getting better in order to actually make it better. So that is the 6 through 10 vocab.